Hi there. My name is Dr. Greenwald, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about economics. Not deep economics, something that's so simple to understand, and yet our economics professors don't talk about it, the newspapers don't tell us about it. And you might ask, if I'm going to talk to you about economics, why am I standing here with a dog and a stethoscope? And I guess it's to add a little bit of interest to what some people consider a dull subject, and also to make me seem intelligent. Because did you ever notice doctors always have a stethoscope around them? That's strictly to make them look intelligent, because I believe even a pathologist who never sees live patients will probably have a stethoscope around them, because it gives them that aura of intelligence. And certainly I want you to think I'm intelligent if I'm talking to you about economics. Now here is the big thing that I want to accomplish, if you will, with your help, with the help of the American people, in the next 10 years that I hope I have at least on this planet. And that is buying American. But buying American is more important than you could ever imagine. And it's not just to employ Americans. And I want you to think for a second, if we have, which we pretty much have, a completely service economy, and every American could be employed doing service. For example, I'm a veterinarian, I'm providing a service, so I'm employed. My staff are helping me with that service, they're employed. There are secretaries, there are dentists, there are even people building roads, which in essence is a service because they're not selling a product. So let's say we could employ every American in this country in service industries. Would that be good? And you might think, well, every American employed, 100% employment, that would be wonderful. But the answer is it would not. Because you see, if everything we buy, i.e. products, have to come from outside the country, then where does all this money go? Well, it goes outside the country. And what do they do with it? Well, they got nothing to do with it because they can't buy anything back from us. Us buying lots of stuff and sending our dollars abroad for oil, for everything that China makes, which is everything almost that we buy, would be okay if in fact we had other things to sell them to get our dollars back. That is the big problem. We don't have anything to sell. Now there's a whole lot of points to be made here, but the one that I'm making right now is strictly from an economic standpoint. There's also a security standpoint and other matters that are very important to us. But from a strictly economic standpoint, when all these dollars are floating around and they can't buy anything from us, the dollar becomes devalued because they have no use for it. Devaluing a dollar is really, to you and me, the same thing as inflation. The government tells us that inflation is under control because the cost of goods are not going up. But if the value of your money goes down, in essence, the cost of goods does go up. So to you and me, devaluation and inflation is really the same thing. It means if you had money in the bank, it's not worth as much now as it was before. And that is probably one of the main reasons that we have to start producing in this country again. And how can we do that? Well, one thing is, as American citizens, as the greatest consumer the world has ever seen, which has supplied the global expansion with money, i.e. the American consumer spending for things he didn't need and even things he did need, but always produced outside the country, this has got to stop. We have to start producing here. Now, it goes further than that. What about the fact that if we ever went to war with anybody, let's say the one that's producing our tanks, what would they do? Stop producing our tanks or sell tanks to us to fight them? So you see, this is a very multifaceted problem, and it has to start right now. And you might say, why is this silly veterinarian here giving us an economic talk? And the reason is that Reagan said, if not me, who? If not now, when? And the Chinese have said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So I'm asking you today, my fellow Americans, to practice what I try to practice, and that is to always buy American. And there'll be more of these types of talks that I plan to give on how we can get our government to encourage this. But for right now, it's an individual responsibility, and the ball is in your court. Thank you.